Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is basically one of the greatest games that has ever been out in 1980s. We've also seen people blindfolded to beat the game, but the most competitive rally is beating the game to start to finish in world record time. But the speedrun to itself is very difficult and very hard executions needed to perform such hard inputs. But the RNG is even more insane than you could ever imagine in any other NES speedrun out there. This is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out World Record Speedrun Explained. There is a specific setup needed to knock out Glitch Joe. You need to knock him out completely on the ground. The first frame will do nothing. He'll just come back on the first counter on 1. The second frame is the exact same thing. The third frame is a KO, which is a knockout. In order to do this, you have to be on full health and have a star. If any opponent comes up on 1, you can knock them down using a star quicker, because they did not have a chance to even rest. Piston Honda has a unique system like a real fighter would do. If you press up on the D-pad, Honda will block his face. Same thing if on the gut. And because of Punch-Out's system of punching, the left gut punch is actually 2 frames faster, and the right gut punch is much stronger and does 5 damage, the other by 4 damage. That's also why that the first Don Flamingo we used the left gut punch, because it's 2 frames faster to knock him down. By the way, if you don't know why these numbers pop up on the screen, these are additional codes so you can get to certain characters and punch out, so it'll be much easier for practice, is what speedrunners do. Don Flamenco might be the easiest opponent to fight in Punch-Out. All you do is dodge and hit and dodge and hit. There's also 1 frame you can get a star from him, which is 1/60th of a second high punch in the head to get a 1 star. You may wonder, how does Little Mac punch Don very fast and looks like a baby? Well, it's easy. You press left to dodge. When Little Mac is coming a little bit to the right, you want to press up, then A. And those rapid punches can literally stop game time in the game. By the way, at the end of a fight of opponent, you will see a decimal value. And most of them are like 0.25, 61, 99, and 97. Well, the only decimal values are 0.00, 0.25, 0.48, 0.61, 0.82, 0.97, and 0.99. But we will not count 99 because 97 is basically 99 because 0.97 is 1 frame later is 1 second. Same thing with 0.99, so we'll just say 0.99. King Hippo is one of the most notorious opponents and has one of the hardest RNGs ever. The only way to begin doing damage to him is to wait for his mouth to open. If a face punch connects within the first 5 frames of his mouth opening, you can get a little extra damage from it, and you can also get an extra gut punch. If you do this 3 times, King Hippo can be defeated in under 40 seconds, and this is known as the 3 cycle. Great Tiger. The strategy for him is forcing him to jab, then do a gut punch, which is a 6-frame window where we can guarantee getting stars. By doing this cycle and keep using the stars, we can get the end time of 47.99 or 48. But for users using a TAS, which is a tool-assisted speedrun, you can watch that on Bismuth's channel. They use a face punches instead, which is a frame perfect, so we can guarantee getting stars again. And just like Von Kaiser, he'll come up on 1 and we can buffer a star, beginning to knock him down completely. Bold Bull's 17-second knockdown is very useful and super simple, and it requires no luck and full game runs. This 18 knockdown isn't the fastest but requires a couple delayed punches and 2 random saws, which is a 50-50% of chance of happening and is a little more difficult to pull off. But you also exit with an extra star on the bank, which is extremely useful. The fight begins with a guard raise, then immediately a left gut punch, then followed by a Dizzy Destroyer, and was invented by the one and only Matt Turk. After the first Dizzy Destroyer, then gets a guaranteed star, then buffers a Superman punch, Now we must perform a special punch known as a God-manipulated max damage star punch. We must press up and start exactly 4 frames after seeing Pizza Honda's idle animation. Furthermore, you must release up somewhere between 12 and 16 frames later. If you try to perform this maneuver any earlier, Honda's guard will not be manipulated, and if you perform this at 1 frame later, the punch will do much less damage. Now, it's time for Soda Popinski. We first do a face punch to get a guaranteed star. Then we cancel his next left hook to then do a double block, then another block to hold down. He will do a uppercut phase. If you block when he's going to do an uppercut, he will freeze in place to give you a chance to get a star. Lastly, we cancel his second uppercut to then use our star to easily knock him down in the first 17 seconds. We have to do this 3 times to get an end time of 51.25 seconds. Now, I'd like to say something. It is possible to get 50 seconds flat, but the background requirements is very difficult to perform and ludicrous execution. When players learn Bald Bowl 2 for the first time, it has very little RNG and there are no random stars and no random refills. When you get into the phase 2, you begin by launching a star punch into this move called the air up, which is a completely standard and deals max damage. You then perform a face punch which gets blocked and retaliates. You can then land a gut punch for a guaranteed star. This can be repeated as much as you want. You then give a star punch to a knocked bull down. Since he can't be knocked down any other way other than countering bull charge. These retaliations from bull though are random though. But he will retaliate 87.5% of the time, and you can only do 3 retaliations, so luck is on your side. Don Flamenco 2 can be an absolute game changer in full game runs of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. In phase 1, you land a whole bunch of gut punches in which can give you random stars. When the clock ticks at 1 minute and 30, Don enters his defensive state and you have to force him to retaliate, which is random by the way. In order to do damage without random stars, it's impossible to beat him before then. And your time will most likely be 140 and 150, or possibly worse. Every now and then, the all-ran gods will bless your riot with random stars. By having Little Mac not at full health for the phase 3, refill becomes random. Half of the time, he has come with 80 health. 3/8 of the time, he'll come up with 72 health. And if you get very lucky, 1/8 of the time, he'll come up with 40 health. Pressing select for Dawn 2 can reduce max health before the fight is considered such a risky strategy. That's only if for people going to the most insane times, as getting the low refill is much less important than getting lucky stars. But the task can easily do that. More of these fights will never happen. Now it's time for Mr. Sandman. At the task time, Mr. Sandman is probably the slowest opponent and the only fight that extends over 2 minutes, and star punches are not an option in this fight, as they are only available in round 3. However, that doesn't mean devoid of the pesky random events. Before the fight begins, selectors press to reduce Little Mac's health to half. This is done so we can take an intentional knockdown later in the fight. In the first 50 seconds, Sandman is first doing rolling punches in the first pattern right, left, left, right, left. On each of this is held, then released as he winds his punch, and we dodge. And then we land a right gut punch to take 5 damage. These gut punches have a 6-frame window to land a gut punch. At 1:30, he will wind up to do his Dreamlike Express. However, the task's last set of gut punches, the clock is about 1:29 and a half. Now, it's time for Super Macho Man. The details that go into making this fight work are extremely intricate. Let's take a look at it. At phase 1, we use the same pattern like Piston Honda 2, the Dizzy Destroyer. Then we need to stun him to do a quick right dodge to get a guaranteed star. And so, the first phase, you can use stars most likely when he doesn't his uppercut. Then you can make sure you have 3 stars. You need to cancel his last uppercut when he's gonna do his stunned hook. You can most likely do this every time, but the RNG is insane. When you usually begin the fight, you do the first Dizzy Destroyer, but sometimes the third time he does his cancelled uppercut can be manipulated by doing a God Raise. Now it's then getting random stars. And finally, and lastly, Mike Tyson. The Mike Tyson world record is one of the most prestigious world records in Mike Tyson Punch-Out. With the other being the full game speedrun, both of these world records are currently held by some dude named who calls himself Summoning Salt. There are no fancy god manipulations, and stars are unavailable until round 2. So, how does one beat Mike Tyson quickly after dodging an uppercut? The player will want to punch on the same side as the uppercut. This is called a proper punch, and it deals 5 damage. On the second hit, you need to delay your face punch by exactly 8 frames. Lastly, theoretically, if the human could perform all 22 frame perfect punches every single time, a perfect Tyson fight could be achieved about 50% of the time. And that's it. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out can be beaten in 14 minutes. This game is known for its difficult strategies and Mike Tyson at the end. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. This took me a very long time to edit and make. Make sure to consider subscribing and like. Goodbye.